The desert sun scorched mercilessly as bodies lay scattered across the sand. Screams pierced the air. Serpents slithered between tents, their fangs dripping venom. People clutched at swollen limbs, their skin turning black. Death had come to the camp. The punishment they had mocked now consumed them. Would anyone survive to see another dawn? Days earlier, the Israelites had gathered in clusters, their voices rising in familiar complaint. The manna tasted bland. The journey seemed endless. Egypt's leeks and onions haunted their memories. They had forgotten the whips. They had forgotten the slavery. They had forgotten the miracle of their deliverance. Their words grew bitter, sharp as thorns. Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in this wilderness? The question dripped with accusation. It echoed through the camp like poison spreading through veins. Then the serpents came. At first, just one child cried out in the morning. A fiery serpent had struck near the water jars. By noon, 3 more had fallen. By evening, the camp erupted in chaos. The snakes appeared everywhere, slithering from beneath sleeping mats, coiled near cooking fires, hidden in the folds of garments. Their copper scales gleamed in the sunlight. Their eyes held no mercy. The venom worked quickly. It burned like liquid fire through the blood. Victims thrashed and screamed, their bodies convulsing. Sweat poured from fevered skin. Eyes rolled back. Lips turned blue. Some died within hours. Others lingered for days, begging for death to end their agony. The healthy ones watched in horror, knowing their turn might come next. Mothers clutched dying children. Husbands held wives whose breath grew shallow. The elderly collapsed without warning, serpent marks on their ankles. No tent remained untouched. No family escaped unscathed. The smell of death mingled with the desert heat. Flies swarmed. Grief became a constant companion. Fear gripped every heart. People stopped sleeping. They searched their bedding obsessively, shook out every garment, examined every shadow. But the serpents were too many, too quick, too relentless. Guards posted at tent entrances could not stop them. Fires built to ward them off only illuminated more of the creatures, writhing in the darkness beyond the flames. Then, something shifted in the camp. An old man, his grandson limp in his arms, fell to his knees. His voice cracked as he spoke. "We have sinned. We spoke against the Lord and against Moses." The words came out like shards of glass, cutting his throat. Others heard. They remembered their complaints. They remembered their ingratitude. They remembered how they had questioned the God who split the sea, who brought water from rock, who fed them daily with bread from heaven. The realization spread like wildfire. This was not random misfortune. This was consequence. This was the fruit of their rebellion. Their words had summoned judgment. Their contempt had invited death. They came to Moses in masses, their pride shattered. Tears streamed down weathered faces. Strong men wept like children. Women tore their garments. "We have sinned," they cried. "We spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord to take away the serpents from us." Their voices merged into one desperate plea. Moses withdrew to pray. The camp held its breath. More died while they waited. Parents kept vigil over poisoned children. The serpents continued their deadly work. Hope seemed as distant as the promised land. When Moses emerged, his face carried a strange expression. Not triumph, not satisfaction, something else. Something that made people lean forward despite their fear. The Lord had spoken. But his answer made no sense. Moses commanded the craftsmen to fashion a serpent from bronze. They worked through the night, hammering and shaping the metal. The firelight danced across its emerging form. Scales, eyes, fangs. An exact replica of the creatures that were killing them. When morning came, Moses raised it high on a pole in the center of the camp. The instructions were simple, impossibly simple. Look at the bronze serpent and live. That was all. No sacrifice required, no ritual to perform, no journey to make. Just look, just believe. The people stared at the gleaming figure. Confusion rippled through the crowd. This made no sense. How could looking at a bronze snake heal a venomous bite? How could the image of their destroyer become their salvation? It seemed too easy, too foolish, too impossible. A young scholar, his leg already blackening from a recent bite, shook his head. "This is madness," he muttered. "Bronze cannot cure venom. Logic cannot be suspended." He turned away, seeking remedies in herbs and poultices. His friends watched him stumble back to his tent, pride still intact even as poison claimed his life. An elderly woman, fever raging through her body, refused to lift her eyes. "I will not look at a graven image," she insisted through chattering teeth. Her daughter begged. Her neighbors pleaded. But she would not bend. She would not trust something so simple. She died before sunset, her principles preserved, her life forfeited. But others chose differently. A young father, his daughter writhing in agony, had nothing left to lose. His hands shook as he carried her toward the pole. Her skin burned against his chest. Her breathing came in shallow gasps. He lifted his eyes to the bronze serpent. The metal caught the light, seeming almost alive. He stared at it, willing himself to believe. "Look," he whispered to his daughter. "Just look." Her eyes fluttered open. She saw the serpent, and the change came instantly. The fever broke. Color returned to her cheeks. Her breathing steadied. The swelling in her limbs began to recede. She sat up in her father's arms, confusion giving way to wonder. The poison that had been killing her simply stopped. Life flooded back where death had reigned moments before. The father fell to his knees, his daughter clinging to him. He sobbed, not from grief now, but from overwhelming gratitude. It worked. The impossible had happened. The simple act of looking had brought healing. Others saw. Word spread faster than the serpents had. People began streaming toward the pole. Some crawled, too weak to walk. Some were carried by family members. Some came skeptically, hope warring with doubt in their hearts. But they came. And everyone who looked was healed. A woman on the edge of death lifted her eyes. Her pulse steadied. A man who had been bitten hours earlier felt the fire leave his veins. Children who had been crying in agony suddenly laughed. Their pain vanished. The transformations were immediate, undeniable, miraculous. The camp erupted in celebration. Shouts of joy replaced screams of pain. People embraced, tears flowing freely, families reunited. The dying rose and danced. The bronze serpent gleamed in the sunlight, a monument to mercy, a testament to grace. But some still refused. The proud scholar died in his tent, his theories intact. The righteous woman breathed her last, her principles uncompromised. Others joined them, unable to surrender their understanding, unwilling to trust in something so simple. They demanded complexity. They required logic. They could not accept that salvation might come through such humble means. Yet for those who looked, healing was complete. The serpent bites left no scars. The poison left no lasting damage. Life returned in full measure. And with it came understanding. They had been saved before, brought out of Egypt through mighty wonders. But they had forgotten. They had complained. They had questioned. Now they understood differently. The same God who had judged them had also provided their healing. The symbol of their punishment had become the instrument of their salvation. The serpent that killed was answered by a serpent that healed. An old man stood before the bronze figure, his grandson healthy in his arms. He remembered his earlier words. "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in this wilderness?" The question echoed in his mind, but with new meaning now. They had not been brought out to die. They had been brought out to live. Even this judgment carried mercy within it. Even this punishment offered a path to restoration. The bronze serpent remained in the center of the camp as they prepared to continue their journey. It stood as a reminder, not of their sin, though that had been real, not of their suffering, though that had been terrible, but of the simple truth that had saved them. Salvation required only faith. Healing demanded only trust. The solution had always been simple. They just had to look. They just had to believe. And they understood then that this ancient symbol carried meaning beyond their moment. It pointed to something greater, something yet to come. A day when another would be lifted up. A day when the answer to humanity's deepest poison would again seem impossibly simple. A day when salvation would be offered to all who would simply look and believe. The desert wind stirred the sand around the bronze serpent. Its metal surface gleamed, catching the last rays of the setting sun. The camp had grown quiet now, peaceful. The serpents had vanished as mysteriously as they had come. Life had returned. Hope had been restored. And the people learned what their children would tell their children, what would echo through generations, that when God offers salvation, it often comes in ways that confound human wisdom. That pride can kill as surely as poison. That the simplest act of faith can overcome the deadliest threat. That mercy and justice can coexist in the same moment, the same symbol, the same God. The lesson remained, carved not in bronze, but in hearts. Healing waits for those willing to look. Salvation stands ready for those willing to trust. The path may seem too simple. The solution may challenge our pride. But for everyone who looks with faith, life conquers death, hope defeats despair, and grace triumphs over judgment.